Hello everyone, my name is Harsh and today we'll be discussing about Node.js middleware functions. Now, middleware functions, as the name suggests, it should lie in the middle of something, of some two things. Now, it comes in the middle of the request and your response object, right? Let me show you the image. Yeah, here you go. Your client request, your response, and these are the middleware functions. Now let's see this in the form of a code. Yeah, Node.js code basic. Yeah, Node.js in the sense Node.js is just a runtime environment. Yeah, Express, which is your web framework which is famous for its routing and middleware functions. Now, yeah, created my Express application. Sorry, my Express imported my Express module, created my application using this app object. Now, I have and this okay. Now my app will now listen to the request on port 8000. This is my okay. I will explain that later. So yeah, I have this is my for get request to handle get request. This will be for any user. If a client makes my any request to the user endpoint, or and if a client makes request to the endpoint, this function will get executed, and this is the middleware function which I have created, right? So this is the basic. These all middleware functions are stored as a stack. So yeah, image, this will clear image. Okay, so get, this will be first get in the first middleware function, which is the get. Then comes my use, which I have implemented, and third is my end get, my end middleware function. Okay, and come lastly is the response. So now let's understand what actually happens in those middleware functions. I'll run. Okay, first this is a package.json which describes my application, whole application, the name, the versions, its dependencies, the versions of those dependencies, and all. And my package log.json, it shows me all the dependencies which I have installed. This is the Express dependency, and the dependencies which Express depends, like it's a basically a tree structure. This is the dependency, Express dependency, and these are the dependencies of Express, that is on which dependency the Express is dependent on. Yeah, confusing, a bit confused. Yeah. Yeah, I'll first run it. Yeah, you see, is it visible? Okay, no, control C. I'll make it more clear. Oh, now it's visible. See, this is the first middleware function which is inbuilt. These first two are those inbuilt middleware functions. You see this Express in it. Basically means when you initialize something. Example, during object creation, you initialize an object using underscore init in Python. So basically, you can just compare it with this. So this will inbuilt layers, or you can say middleware function. Now the middleware functions first comes this, which we have defined as a user, right? User. Then this comes the anonymous, which is I have defined using the use app.use, and this comes the last one is the end, middleware function using the end, right? Basically stack. Now what I will do, I will first make a request to the user endpoint. User, no, not user, this is not user. User endpoint. As you can see, when I ran my user, no now okay. So my this middleware function will just print the timestamp, that is it will be time print the current time, or you can say epoch time, that is the number of seconds passed after the Unix time. So yeah, you can see after I called my user, no time got displayed, right? Because in the stack, what will happen is my client made a get request, and after the get request, what I did was, I directly gave the response and did not execute this next middleware function. I ended the request response cycle. You can see here, after made a get request to user endpoint, I just gave the response, that is send. Now, what if I made a request to end endpoint, that is yeah. So according to this picture, I made a request, client request. It's not a get request, which is this. It's not a request on home page. Now it will implement this. Now next comes this, which is your timestamp. It should print the timestamp. It should execute this middleware function and then use the get request, right? And user, you see timestamp. And what happened is, get request to the endpoint. This is the callback function, or okay, this is the callback function. Now what happened is, dot get function got called, right? Dot get function got called for this endpoint, and that after okay, so this will be something like that, right? Let's say this is my get function, which was defined in the express get function. What happened was, made a get request to this endpoint. Now it will execute all the middleware function, execute all middleware functions, right? And then execute callback, right? Execute all middleware functions this before slash end root. Yeah, it will execute all those middleware functions. That is, here it will execute this time. Then it will execute the callback function, which is this end user. Now, what if I didn't add my send user, and instead executed the next middleware function using the next command, right? What will happen now? Well, you can guess. It's like get user, my timestamp will get printed, and after my timestamp get printed, now next middleware function in the stack is this one, get endpoint. So it should send me end user. So let me just run it. That is first comment, control S, run. Oh, no, running. I will make a request to user endpoint. User cannot get user, right? Timestamp. Right. But why can't it get user endpoint? Like, Will it printed now on this user endpoint and it printed this, but it did not get this. Okay, because that's not end. So I had made a request to that end user, then it would have printed that. Well, obviously it's not getting printed. Why? That's the reason, because okay. So now what happened is I made a request to get homepage user, then it got my next middleware function got executed, but there's no response, right? There's no response that I have created. My request object is still hanging in the middle because I am not going here, neither I'm going here. Then it's like it's still hanging here, right? Okay, so what I can do, and my like request timeout, there must be something like timeout for how much time my request object can keep, keep hanging, or can say there must be a time limit for that. Rest dot send. Now what will the user? Now this should get clear. Should make it easy to understand, right? Now I've terminated the request response cycle. See, perfect. But why is it getting two times? Now what did happen? What happened when the user execute my next producer function, which is this time, right? But why it's printing time two times? What should happen is like make request callback function, which oh yeah. Okay. If I hadn't added next, if I don't add next, still printed user, and that's why. But why didn't display the timestamp? It doesn't display the timestamp. Kept hanging. User request still kept hanging. It's still printing this, I guess. Executing, not printing. Because, but it should send a request, right? Neither calling next time. Whoa. Whoa. Two times. Why a minute? I think what it did was I didn't add a next middleware function. Like, is it calling implicitly? I remove this. Cannot get like that. No. Yeah, it's now hanging in the middle, right? I'm not sending anything. Now it's hanging in the middle. The request object, obviously. No, it's not coming. Why it's printing? Oh yeah, yes. Still sending request. Now it should give me some. Oh no, Didn't make a request, correct request. Entered the timestamp, but no response object got called. Perfect. Now we can call it. Perfect. Oh, oh, perfect. Okay, bro, it might be like something matching to that user. Perfect. Node calling. Made a request to my end. Print. Okay, okay, okay. Oh, it's now okay. Oh yeah, it not didn't it call. You see, what happened? What was the flowchart? Execute all middleware functions before end root. All middleware functions before end root include time. So, but what I did here was end the request response cycle. So what happened was I made a request to end. It went here, and after it went here. So it never really reached the. So it never really got time to execute this time on the sense it never really executed this callback function. Perfect. So what if I remove no request to user printing user timestamp not one printed once. Perfect. Okay. Wait a minute. I will what happened? What are this remove? Now I should never now I should not get in response. Yeah. Hanging. Kept hanging. Kept hanging. Kept hanging. Perfect. Perfect. So what's the conclusion, right? So if you want any code which should get executed for every request response cycle, put it at the top. It should be at the top of the stack, middleware stack here, like this. This will get executed for each and every request and response cycle. Now what will now if I want to just execute at if I want to execute a middleware after a particular request or after some particular time after a particular request or before some particular request, I should keep it in, I should place it appropriately like I have created and placed this between these two. I don't want my this middleware function to be executed if I make a if I make a request to my user endpoint. So what I'll do is put this middleware function after the user. Perfect. And yeah, and middleware if you want to call a chain of middleware functions like we did here after making get response, I included a next method which basically calls the next middleware function. Okay, now what I wanted to discuss was something like yeah, this some stack. Yeah, perfect. This one the basic most likely. Yeah, this one. Thanks for listening, sticking around. If you like didn't get bored, props to you.